Welcome to the Based Academy, live from the back rooms. We are your hosts, Sylvan Franklin, who's not here. He's biking to a coffee shop right now because he doesn't have internet. And Speak Machine, that's me. Our guest today is a low-level penguin enjoyer from the land of carnivorous plants, kangaroos, and cold ones. Matt from Hoffworld. Yay.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me on. This is actually like my first sort of live podcasting that I've done with any other creator. So we'll see how we go. We'll set the expectations low, chat. We'll set the expectations low.
Expect nothing.
Yeah. And then expect nothing, and then you'll never be disappointed. That's how I live my life.
I think that's a pretty actually let me put a pin in that in a second because I want to get back to that. Because that's actually a really good point. I started live streaming like a week ago. I was in Finland. It was around midsummer, which, because there's no sun, there's basically no sun in Finland. They celebrate, like anything to do with the sun is like a big thing. They celebrate it. So like midsummer is a huge thing. And I just, on a whim, I just turned on my camera and I just started live streaming in the forest. And like 35 people showed up, like just without any... Just nothing, just live within like 10 minutes, like 35 people are watching me rant in the Finnish woods. And it was very exciting. It was like, I could get like 30,000 views on a video. It's like, that's pretty good. But it's because it's so abstracted away. You don't feel it. But when it's like 35 people with your eyeballs like staring at you, it feels entirely different. So I totally get that. But the expectations, I think that's a huge one. I was talking to my dad about this. I said to him that I think I'm one of the happiest people alive because I have such low expectations. Like everything that I do, I expect nothing to come of it. When I started YouTube, at least this channel that I have, I had zero. I was expecting to get like 5 views. I was like, maybe some autistic person somewhere wants to watch me do a Vim config or something. That might be pretty nice. And then I made a video. I think my first video was computer programming is finally dying. It was something like, I think it was called something like that. And it got like 20,000 views, like pretty much immediately. I actually got featured on a fire ship randomly.
Really?
Yes, people like went crazy. They were commenting. So he was talking about how programming is, because of course programming isn't dead, right? It was like a bit of a clickbaity kind of thing. And he says, it was like a joke, like, and then people started talking about how programming is dead, and it shows a screenshot of like YouTube search, and my video is just there. It felt crazy. It's like, oh wow, okay, I'm on a corporate owned channel. That's really cool.
Yeah. You're in the VC money now.
They've got me in their sights.
Speaking about the start of your channel, I actually do have a question for you about that, because the first time I came across your channel and I saw the name, it seems like almost philosophical, like Speak Machine. It seems almost philosophical in nature. Is there like an origin story for that, or why you chose it?
Yes, I like the fact that you had the pause, and because there's supposed to be a pause, of course, because it's in the name. Yes, I wanted. So the point was, computer, reveal your secrets to me. Right, that's essentially the meaning, and it was supposed to be Speak Computer originally, but if it doesn't flow, it's like Speak Computer it doesn't quite flow right. So I ended up going for Speak Machine. That is the meaning behind it. It's supposed to be like learning about computers and their secrets and how they work. And then 6 months later, I'm ranting in the woods in Finland and talking about philosophy.
Well, what you said there really like resonates with me, because when I think about especially low-level programming, it's almost like I'm having a conversation with the computer. So it kind of is like the machine and me are speaking to each other, you know? So when like the first time I came across your channel and I saw the name, it kind of just like the neurons just went fire and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Oh, wow. Hello.
No way.
I was like, is there a plane taking off or something?
Yeah.
Oh no, you can hear that?
Yes. Don't worry, we can remove that in post. We can fix it in post. It's fine.
Is this if this like podcast online platform is supposed to have noise cancelling, it's not working very well.
I like the haircut as well, Christian.
Bro, let's not even. I regret it so bad. I was like, I can be a bit impulsive sometimes, and I was thinking, I was thinking because my hair is really white. I'm 34, but my hair is white. It's just genetics, whatever, right? 6'4", handsome, smart, charismatic, intelligent. You can't have it all. You have to have something that's like, And I think it kind of ages me to have white hair, and then I buzzed it all off, and then I went, oh no. I have a good head shape, so it's fine, but it's like I can do Kingpin cosplay. That's pretty good. Or Baron Harkonnen. We could do like a Vimothe / Baron Harkonnen thing.
Oh yeah.
Getting back on track. So Matt, you were talking about low level.
That's one of the things that really gets me into it, is like when you're dealing with so many levels of abstraction in the higher level thing, it feels like there's so much, because there's so much in between you and the actual machine. So it's hard, like imagine if you were talking to somebody in a different language and everything had to go through Google Translate, right? It's kind of like that. But if you both speak the same language, you can get along much better. And that's kind of how I think about low-level programming. It's like when you are actually dealing with things directly, especially in embedded programming, because in embedded, you're changing the hardware registers directly in order to get it to do different things. That's so much different to the feeling of when you're like programming in Python or JavaScript, right?
Well, actually, speaking of, this is going to look kind of dodgy for a second. I can't believe I didn't have this ready. Oh man, I've got like my computer sitting on.
How janky our podcast is.
Dude, I thought I was coming onto a professional studio.
I know. I'm so sorry.
No, it's part of the experience. It's human.
It was like a hazing ritual or something.
We're leaving all of this in, by the way.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
Oh my god.
This is the quality content people subscribe for.
So in my hands, I have a box, right? And within this box...
Oh, nice. That's an STM32 board.
It is indeed.
You just recognize that off rip with no logo?
It is a very recognizable board, to be fair.
What can I say? Yeah. We're not pulling out the hard trivia here. He gave me an easy one.
That's true. I can look it up in a second. I don't have because I bought it just before heading out to start traveling.
In the background, could I ask a question? Like, could we get kind of philosophical here? Like, do you think of like the APIs that you use to program computers? Like, do you ever see those outside of a programming context, like in the real world ever? Because I know for me, like, I have switched over to being really interested in human behavior. And like, I now see like people as having APIs. But I wonder if you've ever had an experience like
if you're talking to a girl, you've got to hit the like flirting API. And you don't have authorization.
Exactly.
You don't have authorization sometimes. It's like...
There are a couple ways to bypass the auth, but you can't do that in an unethical way.
Dude, I actually... Okay.
Stuff.
I can make a thought about this, because this is maybe analogous, but not exactly the same thing. I have thought of, for example, I don't know if you guys ever played like Nintendo DS, and you ever had like cheats on the Nintendo DS, where you could just like press some buttons and like change the behavior of the game with like an action replay or something like that. I often wondered if like having free will and exercising free will is kind of like having cheats for the video game, because there's all of these like social norms that you're not supposed to violate, or like things that you're not supposed to do. But if you have like the willpower to overcome that, you just like press the buttons and you just break the game. Like you could just go talk to some random person on the street. Why don't you do that? Well, it's because there's this like social norm thing about it. You might look weird, you might do this, you might do that. But if you got cheats, you just press the button, you go do it. There's no problem.
Man, we've hit a gold mine. Let's stick with this. This is a gold mine of a conversation. Sylvan, were you about to say something? Because you unmuted yourself. Were you about to say something?
Well, yeah, just a real quick comment. Yeah, I relate to that absolutely. As a cult leader, everyone says, "No, you can't be a cult leader. You can't do that. That's not an allowed profession." And now it's on my LinkedIn.
Well, the biggest flex is if you can leave that on your LinkedIn and still get hired. That's the biggest flex.
Yes. You see, I had this realization. I think I was like 10 or something. I realized, because there was this point in my development where I realized that I really wasn't like all the other kids. And I know it's a meme, like I'm not like the other girls, but like literally, there was this magical, also nice hat, nice double hat, Sylvan. There was this magical moment where I realized that not everyone thinks the same. And there's this magical territory between how you think and how other people think, and it's all explorable. Like everyone just kind of sits in their little, he's just riding his bike
Dude, I'm trying to focus on what you're saying, and I'm seeing this in the background. Like,
it's premium content right here.
You guys planned this, right?
No, this
whole thing is a setup.
This
whole thing's a setup.
Yes, we did. This was entirely. we're that smart. We're that good at this, bro.
Are you okay?
Yeah. I think it's good.
You can't just have like normal talking. Kids won't pay attention to that these days.
This is like Subway Surfers. Yeah. Dude. I think we're gonna get along just fine.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be great.
Go on.
That's when I realized that there's a lot more to the world that we realize, that we think about. People never really leave the boundaries of the playable game area.
Would you say that was easier or harder than reading the entire Vim manual?
Much harder. Also, Matt, if you don't know, I have a video on my channel where I read the entire Vim manual. It's 11 hours long. It took 69 hours to make.
That's enjoyable. Wait, really? That's crazy.
Because I had to read it and then edit the whole thing because it's hard, because I couldn't just do it in one session. I'd make mistakes. So it took like 69 hours so it's enjoyable to read, not so enjoyable to vocalize and edit and then render the whole thing. I literally, my computer got so hot. Luckily I was in Norway in winter. Like I had my computer rendering overnight next to the open window. That's not even a joke, by the way. Try rendering an 11-hour video with effects and like you'll see how that goes.
I respect the dedication on that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
I just wanted to ask Matt, like, what kind of low-level projects do you work on?
It depends. Like, okay. I think because I revealed that I got this big fancy job, right? People are going to find my LinkedIn anyway, so I might as well tell you guys about my what I was doing before that, which was a really cool low-level job. It's probably one of the most Australian jobs you could probably think of. Have you guys seen on Instagram, there are those flying surfboards. They're like a surfboard with a mast and a set of wings on the bottom. And some of them have an electric motor on the bottom where you can just pull the trigger and the electric motor will go and the thing will come up out of the water.
Dude, that shit's fire.
I used to work for a company that made those. And I wrote the firmware that runs on them. Well, I didn't do all of it. There's the guy, I know, Sylvan, you've talked a lot about having mentors and stuff. My mentor at this previous company was cracked out of his mind. He could do all the electric motor control stuff, the Bluetooth stuff, all the way. We had an app, he could do the app stuff and the electronic stuff, the PCB design. He was just across all of it. And when I saw him, I was like, this is who I want to be when I grow up, kind of thing. But yeah, I learned heaps from him and I did a lot of really cool stuff at that company. And it's a lot of just, you reach for your STM32 board. It's kind of on that kind of level. It's you're programming microcontrollers. You've got a whole bunch of different little computers, because they're just little computers, right? That have to talk together and do things in sync to make something happen. And that was my last job. So I was a firmware engineer there.
Let's talk about some of your projects. So I know you had the one where you changed the colors of your light. That was some really cool stuff. How did you get into low level?
This is a really interesting question. And it actually goes back to my sort of Joker origin story, right? And I want to hear what your guys' Joker origin stories are as well. So you'll have to tell me later on. But when I was a kid, this might be really weird coming from a guy who now works at Microsoft and previously was like a super big Linux guy. But yeah, I know, crazy reveal, right? Crazy. No,
Yeah,
dude, but
we're
okay,
done.
when I
This
was
is
like,
over. We're done.
when I was like 12.
Get out!
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm leaving the chat right now. When I was 12, I went to an Apple store, right? And I played with one of the iMacs there. And for whatever reason, my like 12-year-old brain just like latched onto that operating system. And I was just super obsessed with Mac OS X at the time. And so what I did when I got home was I Googled as a joke, how do I run Mac OS X on a PC? And I was just expecting it to be like, because I thought nobody can do that. It's like an Apple computer, right? And what surprised me is there was this big community of people doing this thing called Hackintosh. And so when I was like 12, 13, I got really into Hackintosh stuff. And to do Hackintosh stuff, you need to learn a decent amount about how Mac OS X works as an operating system. And playing around with that, and you have to like download and install custom drivers. They call kernel extensions and stuff. And that kind of introduced me to what a kernel is and all that kind of thing. So that was kind of the starting point where I got into like operating systems and low level stuff because I tried so hard to get this thing to work on my shitty little laptop. And I like got it half working and I was very happy with that.
It's interesting how because I mean I also had a Hackintosh
Sick.
I really wanted a Mac but I couldn't afford one. So that was the logic. Like I have a PC. I love Mac OS. I was using them at university, so that's how I got introduced to them. And I literally made a Hackintosh because I couldn't afford to buy a Mac. And here I am now flying to 2 different countries to buy a MacBook. We can get into that a bit later. But
Wait, I also have like a Mac desperation story. Like it's not as bad as that, but like when I was gonna get my first laptop, when I was like I want to get into coding at I don't know 13 or 14 or something, like all my friends were like you should get a Windows laptop so you can like game with us, you know, and they're significantly cheaper. But I was like, no, I I need to get a MacBook. Like the aura of it is just like you can't resist it. Their marketing is too good. And so like, yeah, I did like, I don't know, probably a couple 100 hours of yard work just to be able to afford this like shitty Intel i5 laptop that was like way below the Windows standard. But then once Silicon came out, like they're still crushing it.
Yeah, dude, in my opinion, it's kind of flipped a little bit because when I was doing the Hackintosh stuff, I got into it maybe like 2013, 2012, in that kind of era. In my opinion, like Mac OS X was one of the best operating system out of all the big 3 in terms of what I was looking for. And Apple was like fully on top in terms of software. But honestly, I think, but the comparison was their hardware sucked. That's why you got a Hackintosh because the software was great, but the hardware sucked. In my opinion, at least, and I might catch a bit of flame from Mac users who are in this chat, but I think it's flipped now. Like their hardware is off the charts, crazy. But I'm just not a fan of what they're doing with their software. So that's why once support for, like, I did a Hackintosh thing. My Hackintosh was like kind of working for a long time, but it had all sorts of problems. So I just switched back to Windows 7 for gaming. And then when Windows 7 went end of life, I just switched fully to Linux.
you see, I don't think you should get any hate for that. I think that's pretty legit. I think that
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think
Good take.
I don't think anyone makes better laptops than Apple in terms of hardware. Like they're just superior in everyone's trying to copy them, but it's just not the same thing. I had an M1, now I have an M4. My dream is to have like this M4 just run Linux bare metal. And I know about Asahi. I'm aware of Asahi. It's just not, if you want to do professional stuff, you can't use Asahi and you can't, like as a video editor, I was thinking, should I just get like a normal laptop and just install like Arch on it and just use that? But I don't want to have to call my clients and say, sorry, my Arch install is broken. Can I get back to you in like a week? Like that's just not an option, right? And so I have to get a MacBook. Mac OS is going in the wrong direction. It's not doing very well, but the hardware is so good. I just had to get another MacBook. There was just no way around it. Is that 100% on that?
I'm going to sound like a total shill here, but I got a brand new, I looked up the retail value on this thing. It's like, $3,800 Australian dollars, which is probably around like 3,000 US or something. It's for work. They sent it to me. It's a brand new, like one of the Qualcomm Snapdragon Surface Pros. And it's actually, I was surprised because I haven't used Windows ARM in literally ever. And everything I heard about Windows ARM was it sucked. I'm going to sound like a total shill here, but I'm really enjoying using this. Like genuinely, I'm really enjoying using this laptop. It's really quiet. And this is probably like, because it's ARM based, you know, more than anything else, but it's really slim. It's got all the ports that I want. It's very quiet. It feels like a MacBook. It feels like an ARM MacBook. And the software like Windows on ARM has come a number of like quite a way. So that's what I'd say on that. You can put Linux on them, I think, but obviously I can't because it's a corporate laptop.
Is anyone else getting kind of like freaked out by how good the software is getting? Like even the things I don't like about Mac OS, like just there's like an update every day, and like every agent harness has an update every day, and everything is just moving so fast now.
Do you guys think that's a good thing or a bad thing? Because, okay, here's a question for you actually. Would you say over the last 10 years, as a general concept, not pointing at any specific company or companies here, has software gotten better or worse in the last decade? What's your opinion on that?
I would say like it's got, well, kind of both, you know, that's a really complicated question because like some people have done really well and other people have done a lot worse. And in my opinion, that's like less of a software issue and more of a people and regulations issue. I know for the medical industry, at least, like that's kind of where I'm involved in the software world. Like the big three companies are all just in this stupid deadlock of like suing anyone else who gets within range of them. And like, it's too complicated for anyone else to tackle it. And I would say that's the same thing for some of the bigger companies like Windows as well. They're like, the way they've structured how people work together is just like so bad that they've kind of started to stagnate. But like, by and large, I think software is getting a lot better.
Interesting.
So I think that there's a lot more software. That's obviously the case. It's exploded in how much software there is. I think that software generally is getting worse in terms of quality and stability. They're introducing features for the sake of introducing them, whether anyone wants to use them or not. Like, I don't know anyone who uses Apple Intelligence. I've literally never met a single person who uses it. Oh my God, no. Okay, I know one person now. There's so many like, now with AI, new feature, you can YouTube's like, hey, I can summarize all the comments you got on this video. Do you want me to summarize all the comments you got on this video? No, I'd rather just read people's comments. Why would I want to summarize? If they bothered to watch my video, I'm gonna bother to read the comments. I find myself looking for software all the time. That's like all the software that I can use just because it just feels a lot more reliable. But yeah, my take is that software is getting worse as an overall trend.
It's very interesting that we got
back.
2 points here.
Okay, I would say actually like there's a lot of really, really dumb stuff going on because of like the kind of CEOs who are not technical, like grabbing these features and like spamming them everywhere. And that's caused like a lot of dumb software. But you also have like really good developers like Jonathan Blow, Casey Muratori, Ryan Fleury, like the people who really go deep on these things, like being massively accelerated by agents at this point. There was a time when vibe coding sucked, and vibe coding still sucks, right? But agentic engineering, in my opinion, doesn't suck. Like if you were a good developer, it's a massive productivity boost to have like well-tuned agent harnesses working for you. It's just like it took people kind of a while, and it's still taking a while to kind of find how these AIs are actually going to work. And this is like kind of leads into a broader philosophy I have on AI, which is you can't produce anything better than you would be able to produce manually with AI. So I think of AI as like this force multiplier of your cognitive output. And if you have bad ideas, you're just going to shoot bigger bad ideas. If you have really good ideas, like if you're Jonathan Blow, you're going to be able to move way faster, in my opinion.
Yeah, I generally agree with that. I would say in terms of when I look at how like productive I am or whatever, when I'm talking about maybe making stuff for YouTube or doing my own projects or something like that, I'm actually not so concerned with how fast I get things done. I am concerned. This is my sort of philosophy on how I'm using AI at the moment, and I'm curious to hear you guys as well. I'm doing this thing I like to call diff maxing, which is when I look at a diff that I'm about to check into my repo, I'm trying to optimize and maximize how much dopamine I get by looking at that diff. Meaning, like, if let's say AI uses a spectrum, right? There's like full manual code and there's like full vibe code. Either way, at the end of the day, I'm looking at a diff that I'm about to check into my project. And it's interesting that you mentioned people like John Blow, Casey Muratori, etc. I have this take that I want to hear you guys' opinion on as well, which is that if you want to be a truly great programmer, you have to be opinionated about programming. Because I think fundamentally, if you are opinionated about something, it means you care enough so for example, even Uncle Bob, who is the clean code guy, I don't agree with his ideas. But in terms of great doesn't necessarily mean like good, right? It just means like significant or whatever. He's certainly significant. And he has very strong opinions about how things should be done. And even if I disagree with his opinions, I think that's respectable because he cares enough about what he's doing to come up with those opinions in the first place. And so when it comes back to using things like AI and AI agents, I have my own opinions that I've formed about how programming should be done, how code should look, how it should fit into the overall system that I'm trying to design, and what paradigms I want to use. And I can look at a piece of code or like look at a diff, and I just like check that out with my own opinions. And I'm like, do I like the way that this is going? If I'm doing my whole like prediction stuff, I'm predicting in the future, is this going to cause problems for me based on my experience, etc., etc. So I'm not necessarily focused on how fast I'm doing things. I'm thinking about like, okay, if I coded this fully manually without AI, or if I fully vibe coded it, where in this spectrum do I get the maximum amount of satisfaction from looking at that diff based on my own personal feelings about how programming should be done? So I'm purely focused on what is the optimum place where I can get the most quality based on my own judgments.
For context, I'm a recreational programmer, as they might say. I don't work as a programmer. I mean, I guess we should also do like the origin story here, because it just adds more context, right? I started learning how to program when I was like 7. My parents had a Windows computer, Windows 98, best Windows, by the way, in my opinion. I was enamored with it. There was something so beautiful about it that I couldn't explain. And my parents went, oh, he likes computers. So they got me a tutor. Very, very thankful for this. I actually had 2 different tutors. I did Pascal, I did Visual Basic. I did some C. We started programming on paper. Like we would lay out the logic. Just looking at Sylvan. We would lay out the logic of the program on paper before we ever typed anything. Then I was told that to become a good programmer, I needed to be really good in maths. And I had a terrible math teacher, and I thought I hated maths. So I went on this rabbit hole of doing music and film and photography and blah, blah, blah. And then a few years ago, I had a channel, and I hired a programmer to help me automate some back-end stuff for my channel. And then he just abandoned the project halfway through. He was like, yeah, I've got stuff to do, bye. So I was left with like 1,000 lines of Python code. And I thought, okay, I know how to program. I know algorithms. I know a bunch of stuff. I watched a 6-hour bro code video on Python, and then I just spent the weekend going through.
That's a throwback. I remember bro code. I learned a lot from him.
It was a magical moment. And then I spent the weekend just reading through this, like looking at all these functions and figuring out what everything does. And there was this beautiful moment where I got it. And it just like in one day I learned about APIs and how like a lot of stuff I just didn't know about before, and it all clicked. And I realized, oh my God, I forgot how fun this is. I forgot how incredibly fun this is. And I ended up thinking, do you know what? Let me just get back into programming. I've been doing it on and off for years anyway. I always kept going back to it. 2013, Java and Eclipse. I know I was doing Java. I was doing Java for some reason, not even professionally. I just liked a bit of Java. And now I'm here, right? So I personally don't use AI for programming at all. Given that I'm in a position where I don't need to, just like how Casey Muratori says, he doesn't use it because he enjoys programming. Like if you like playing drums, you just play drums. You don't use a drum machine because you enjoy playing drums. Just like how you said, like for your projects, you don't, you just do them manually, or I assume that's what you meant, because, well, you enjoy programming. So there's no reason to how efficient you can be at things that you enjoy is irrelevant, right? Like if you enjoy riding your bike, you don't really care about riding it as efficiently as possible. You just care about enjoyment maxing, essentially. So for learning and for improving, I don't use it at all. I've never tried. I think I tried Claude Code as like a curiosity to see what it does. I tried ChatGPT for programming early on. I will occasionally use ChatGPT to generate like some bash code. If I have like a one time thing that I got to use once, I need to use bash. Sure, give me the code. Damn it, it's broken. Just do this, bro. Oh, yes, of course, certainly. And then it just like a very obvious fix that for some reason I just can't figure out. And then eventually I get some code, I use it, I discard it, I'm done. That's what I use AI for. However, if I get hired as a developer, I'm probably going to have to start using it to some degree. But my use of it is almost zero.
I can give my my coding background story as well. So
Please.
I'm actually like an artist. I'm not a programmer at all at heart. Like I'm trying to cram the foot into like a super misshapen tiny shoe there. Like when I was in high school, I learned, like the first thing I learned was I think React, and then I very quickly switched to Svelte. But like I did not care about state. I did not care about user.
I wish I had a bell right now so I can go shame.
Well, it was what everyone was doing, like, I mean,
that's fair.
I got rid of React like real quick, like frame 1, I dropped it. But yeah, I was spending more time, like I memorized every Tailwind utility class. Like I would just try to stylize websites. That's what I was into. And, like every project I made was essentially just a front end. Like I really did not like databases, or concurrency or distributed systems or anything like that. What was that? Apple
was
Intelligence.
Apple Intelligence.
We found the one user, guys. We found the one
That is
user.
weird. Yeah, that is weird. Why did they come up?
It's listening. It knows.
Yeah. The coincidences, the synchronicity has been on the rise. I don't know if it's been for you guys, but yeah, things
we talked about
weird
this, yeah.
coincidences. Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely more like the tortured artist kind of. Like I'm not a John Blow type of guy. I'm like a Carl Jung type guy, and so the most technical project I ever built, I think, was this fractal ray marcher. And I say I built, but like it was really my roommate who did like all of the C++ and OpenGL stuff. Like I sat there with him. I kind of understood the like rendering pipeline, kind of, but like I was just there to change the colors and like make cool looking fractals. So now I'm like obsessed with this language Typest, which is like basically just like if JavaScript didn't exist, it's like a scripting language meets like a styling language, but there's like literally no public space. There's literally no like it just outputs to PDFs, PNGs, like SVGs, right? Like that's the compile target. And I use harnesses and agents quite a lot because I don't like the logical stuff. Like I learned the functional bindings, the map, rep, reduce kind of Haskell-y programming style so that I could use Typest. But really, I just want to make cool things. So I think it's like a brilliant translation layer between English language and graphics output. So I have like a template where I describe to the agent like, I have a bunch of different types of documents. Like this is a thumbnail. This is a text overlay. This is like a credit thing. This is like, I'll have my, like the people that boost my server. I take like a typed slide and I compile like a series of PNGs that show like the boosters like progressively being rolled out. And then I overlay that with like, the BBC Sounds archive has like everything that's been on the British Broadcasting Network. And I put like this typewriter effect. And I like cut that up and replay it. And like, I don't want to think about the logic here. I just tell the agent like, all right, use FFmpeg, snip up the audio, use image magic to like color this, like lay it all together. And then like, if I don't like it, it's kind of like I feel like a potter, you know, like spinning it into existence. Like the implementation details, once in a while I'll go in and check with NeoVim, but most of the time I don't really care. I just want something that looks cool because it's not prod code holding up anything important.
I think that's fair. And actually, like, even before the AI agent stuff came out, people would have that like, oh, if it's just going to be used once, does the implementation detail really matter? Like my first job, I was pretty much just like a script monkey where I would take Excel spreadsheet in one format, transform it into Excel spreadsheet in another format. And like low key today, that job wouldn't exist because of agents. But at the time, it's kind of like that. And all these scripts that I would write to do this thing, it didn't matter how fast they ran. Like, you know, it's all in Python. If it takes 5 seconds to run, it could have taken like 500 milliseconds, but does it really matter? Because the goal is not the implementation. The goal is the document you get at the end of that. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of a similar thing to what you're doing here, where it's like, at the end of the day, your output is not necessarily anything to do with the code. Like if you're designing a production software system, then the implementation detail matters a lot because in that instance, the experience that your users have is directly based on their interactions with your software. But if you're doing something to get like a visual output, I mean, like LaTeX could be another example of that, where does it really matter how bad the person's LaTeX code is if their PDF document at the end of the day looks good?
Man, we should have like a little bell whenever a guest says the word based. We can just ring it. We can just ring it. Also, can I just say shout out to Matt? He made his bed for the interview. Like, look at his bed in the background. And look how tidy it looks.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie. I actually did because I was like wondering, does this platform that I'm being invited to have like a blur effect or not? You know, I clean my room just for this every other day of the week. It's cooked. It's cooked.
Man, that's so funny. That's so funny. I appreciate that. That's so cool.
No, guys, I make my bed every day. I promise. I swear.
Yes.
First thing when I wake up. First thing when I wake up.
Could we return real quick to an interesting thing you said about the Excel sheet being like automated away? Because I know quite a lot of people at like different companies that my friends work for that are like getting laid off now because a lot of the kind of menial tasks are being automated away. And it seems like I'm haven't looked at any economic statistics or anything, but like this is kind of a catastrophe because there have been fake jobs forever, right? That's been kind of a thing with the boomer economy, but like the veil is being ripped away right now pretty brutally, and like we're gonna need a way to like pay those people a living, you know, because otherwise like there's going to be riots in the streets. Like it's kind of an interesting conundrum.
Are you talking about fake jobs specifically in programming or just in general?
Well, in general, but I'm more talking about like white collar jobs, I guess, like translating a file format, or like a lot of the jobs I've heard of is like you're taking like copying an Excel sheet and sending an email, and like now just a competent engineer that's like a 30-second prompt.
Well, I can tell you about the reason why I made the comment I made about my first like programming job would be like kind of automated now is because back then I was working in traffic engineering and we had a lot of data, like geospatial data. So that's working with like XY coordinates that you would plot on like Google Maps, or they call it a GIS. So if anybody has ever used QGIS, it's a great open source like mapping tool and whatnot. But basically, there's like all this spreadsheet that comes in. I was working like transport. So the government transport had all this data and we just needed to transform it in different ways and plot it on maps and stuff and do whatnot. But it was essentially just like take the Excel spreadsheet from one format and then put it in another one. And there were this was not something you could just do manually because there were like hundreds of these spreadsheets in the same format and they all had to be converted into this other format, and it was a whole big thing. So my job from the get-go, this was before AI, so this was before agents, it was like 2020, 2022, and that was my job. My job was to write Python scripts to do the transformations. So they would give me a new format, a new like Excel format, and give me an output format and say, write a script that takes this data and merges it into this format. And maybe sometimes I'd do some like mathematical operations on the data or whatever, you know, as you do. But the problem was each of these Excel spreadsheet file formats was just like slightly different to the point where I couldn't just reuse my old script. I had to like the core was the exact same, but the format of the Excel spreadsheet was just different enough that you couldn't copy paste. You kind of just had to do it again. So it was like the corporate hellscape of like my job was every day I will do the same thing, just like slightly different. And these days, like if it was with agents, right, I could do one script that does the thing. And then every time I got a new format in, I could just point Claude at the other script. And I said, hey, I've already written a script that does most of this. And this is the way that I like to have it implemented. So just like take that and change it such that it inputs this format instead and outputs in that format. And maybe I wouldn't have not had a job, but I would have had much less work to do because that company actually did have, like, I was so good at writing these scripts, the company ran out of work to give me on multiple occasions. So let's say I run out of work on Friday to do. I probably would have ran out of work on Monday by like 11 a.m. if agents existed back then. So I don't know. But that kind of thing, arguably, is that real programming, dude? Should that be a job? I don't know.
I don't think it is.
So you're a 7x engineer is what you're telling us. Well, I guess 5x engineer because you're done with your work on a Monday instead of Friday.
Hey, on my resume, it says the estimate for the manual time that I saved is 40 hours a week. So I saved a full engineer salary, guys. That's what my resume says. Measured
by charging
empirically.
an engineer salary to do so.
Yeah, exactly. It comes back to the, I think it was like XKCD meme or something along those lines of like, oh, there's this 30-minute task that I'll spend 5 hours automating. Trust me, it'll be great.
It's interesting though, like there's programmers are like we kind of optimize like compulsively, and like if we're given a task, even if it's kind of mundane, we'll eventually get to a point where we've automated it away. It's kind of just like this infinite, how do we keep like making the process faster and faster and faster? And I guess it's like the real divider there is like, not everyone maybe at a programming job like was truly doing that optimizing thing the whole time. Like they were given the task and they were okay with that. Whereas like, I think the mark of a true programmer is they're never really satisfied with the system. You're always like figuring out a way to improve it.
That's a really good point. But one of the things that I would say is, and this is where I think the problem is, because when I took this job, I was a first year uni student, like I was fresh. I had no work experience in the field. And so doing this like super repetitive programming task where I just like learn how to do stuff with code, that's a good experience for me, And nowadays, and I think this is the fear of everybody that everybody has, because we can like say, oh, well, that's not real programming, blah, 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 blah. But junior engineers or like people that are just trying to get their first job, that's the kind of stuff that they get hired to do. So I think that's as well, like really rough is what people are seeing is, well, let's say that job disappears. If I'm just starting my uni now, I couldn't have taken the same path as I took when I started out because that job just doesn't exist. I have to try find something else, which I think is a much scarier thing because, yeah, we can go on and on about how like, oh, well, that's not real programming. Real programmers should be doing this. But you don't learn to do that optimization or like learn what that iterative process is if you never get a chance in the first place, because that job did teach me a lot about how to write. Like by the end of it, I was writing these scripts to an absurdly optimized level. And if I just didn't have the experience to be able to do that, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't have had the same pathway.
I think that a lot of people are in trouble in the sense that I don't know how much room there is going to be in the future for people who just aren't intelligent. I don't know what they're going to do because it appears to me that automation has always been the direction that we've been going into, even if AI didn't happen. As programmers, right? What we do is we automate things, and we have like this desire to make things very, very efficient, and that's being used to make things faster and more efficient. That's always been a direction, even if we never got LLMs. That's what would happen anyway. And so I think that the question that Sylvan was hinting at was, what are most people going to do? Like if, even if AI stays where it is right now and it doesn't get, like, I don't think that AI getting really, really good is an inevitability. I think that we're already starting to hit diminishing returns. we can improve the software around the technology. We can do agents and harnesses and markdown files to tell soul. We can do a soul.md to give it a soul. That's how it works, of course. But we can make the software around them better. But at least for now, the technology seems to have kind of slowed down. And especially if it relies on hardware, which is what's been doing, that's how we got the improvements recently, is because of hardware improvements. If that also slows down, which is looking like hardware is also slowing down, which is why low level is becoming more important. We can get into that in a second. If that happens, AI doesn't have to keep getting better. But even if it doesn't, automation will continue. And so I guess the question, Matt, would be, what do you think would happen in that context? Do you think it's going to be UBI? Do you think people are going to be just given fake jobs to do at scale? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, dude, okay, this is something that makes me really sad about the situation that AI as a whole is in. And of course, like, as obviously the disclaimer is, this is my own personal opinion. Like, it's not affiliated with the company that I work for. I can't believe I have to say that now, but that is what that is.
Yeah.
There's two paths that we can kind of take when it comes to AI and the way that people use it. There's like, if you guys have seen
I'm getting a pastry, I'll be right back.
Oh, good. If you've seen like the two paths meme, where it's like one is like the super happy castle and the other is like the like lightning sort of destruction castle, whatever. But the dystopian path, I think at the moment, it seems we're on the dystopian path, because what people want to seem to be doing is getting up on stage and saying things like, oh, in 6 to 12 months, programmers are going to be replaced, or like it's going to be a white collar bloodbath. And they've been saying that for the last 4 years. And just seeing that, it makes me really sad, because I'm really excited about the technology. From a pure, like, back in 2022, when this stuff was first coming out, there was the stable diffusion models and the, like, Llama was getting released. Everyone was really excited about Llama because it was open, like, you could download it and self-host and whatever. I was running that, like, locally back in 2022, before the hype was, like, super real and whatnot. I was always really excited about this technology. And I think the technology is really useful, and I actually very much enjoy using it. But I think there's a reason why, for example, there was a poll recently that said AI is now less popular than, for example, the war in Iran.
Yeah.
I think there's a reason for that. And it's that there's so much fear-mongering and dishonesty going on about what the technology can do, what it will do. The sad thing to me, and we're seeing like AI content flood the internet, and really low quality AI content flood the internet. And I think that drives a lot of the opinion as well. My utopian point of view, like, I think the best way people could use AI is always with like the human experience as the center point. And it's kind of like what Sylvan was saying before about it being like an amplifier. I fully subscribe to that point of view. I think, for example, and I want to know what your opinion on this is, Christian, because I know you're writing novels and stuff. But if I was a novelist, the way that I would see AI is not the case where you just prompt and say, hey, write me a couple pages on this. That's a dystopian view. The utopian view is more like, well, the human writes a page and it's all coming from the person. And then the person asks AI for refinement, or as an interactive notebook, or as an interactive thesaurus, where you've written your page, you've got your soul out onto the page, you've said what you wanted to say, and you use AI to, like, literally, like I was saying before, you diff max and you just like dopamine max. How do I get this to where I personally look at it and get the most satisfaction and say, like, this is the best thing that I could produce. It says exactly what I want it to say. I think that's true of art. I think that's true of coding. I think that's true of anything, where you just like, you have the human, it's me. I'm here, I'm doing this thing, and the AI is going to help me get it to be the best that I can possibly do. But I think because people are really lazy, they're going to do the thing where it's like, oh, I want to write an article on the internet. I just say, hey, chat, write me an article about this. So it's like inverted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have two things to respond that I'll let you speak, Christian. So the last point, I think I absolutely agree with, and I think there's the AI is like alarmingly good at procedural problems, and in fact, I think we'll only see it get better at procedural problems. I don't really try to ever speculate about the trajectory of things beyond like vague, like I don't even really know, because it's just, there's so many brilliant people working on so many things. It's like hard to even say what will happen. But what I do think is that beyond procedural stuff, we have like stories. and humans think in stories, and we have for a very, very long time. Like you get like the hard sciences, right? You got like math, physics, chemistry, physiology, biology, behavior, anthropology is like kind of your spectrum of hardness of science. But then on the other side, you've got like the kind of softness of science where you've got like, or human knowledge, you've got like stories, pictures, images, religion. It's like that side of things you can't really procedurally generate no matter how hard you try. I don't think you can really, well, I don't know. I don't want to say that, because I might be proven wrong, but. And then I guess the other thing is like, I was full team dystopia for like last winter. I was like, oh no. And now I'm full team utopia because like, I think, well, you said, right, like, what about the people that are, and I don't want to, there's like lots of kind of derogatory terms for people, but like normie or like the best way I can say it is like uneducated, because I think people all have potential. There's obviously like innate variance in how quickly people can pick up the patterns to the world, but I believe everyone could be trained to like flourish, to like this is just my behavioral background talking, but like intelligence is kind of a construct, right? We can't actually measure that like empirically. It's just kind of a vague, like blob like thing. And in my opinion, all of psychology should be deprecated in favor of behavior. But like, what we can measure is your how you behave, your outputs. Like, and we can see this person is more creative, based on the variance in their outputs. But we can actually maximize that. Creativity is like an operant, meaning it's a function of its consequences. So like if you take someone and you like give them a crayon and they like draw something, at first it sucks, but you're like, good job, draw another thing. And like you keep giving them bigger and bigger challenges. You can really train people to do like basically anything. And it's kind of just like the environment that has led people to be so uneducated. It's because our education system is like 80 years out of date with learning theory and our learning technology. Like we can learn really, really fast now. We can teach people at like 100 times the rate we used to be able to in the past. I've seen it firsthand. Like it's been done to me. And that technology, I think, just has to be spread to more people, and then we'll have a utopia.
I think it's really cool. When we started this podcast, I was a bit worried about, I thought we would have like the same takes on everything, and that I don't think that's good. I think we should diverge in some ways. I disagree on this point. I think that the environment is a component of intelligence. However, I think that it's mostly inherited from your parents. I think that generally speaking, smart people have smart kids. And I don't think that anyone could be trained to be a good mathematician or a good artist or a good programmer or a good anything. Regarding the novels and the writing, I think the question here is, what is the product? So if you look at programming and writing science fiction or any kind of writing, if for programming, the product is the output of the software. I am autistically interested in code, but that's just because I'm an autist. Most people aren't. And even for me, like in software that I'm not interested in, as long as it works, like we're using Riverside to record this, right? As long as it works, I don't really care how the website is put together. I'm loosely interested about how the back end works and how it's connected, but as long as it works, I'm fine, right? And so what the code looks like, how it's logically structured, is kind of irrelevant, and it's 100% irrelevant for the vast majority of people. But for writing, this is where it diverges a bit. For writing, if you're writing purely factual or historical information, so if you're writing about something that happened in the past, if you're writing stuff about philosophy or anything that is supposed to be knowledge, I wouldn't personally do it, but you could use AI. And in fact, there wouldn't be any reason to read those books because you just ask the LLM directly, right? In that context, how it's written doesn't really matter. If I want to learn about carnivorous plants in Australia, I can just look up the information. The more condensed it is, the better. However, when it comes to fiction, that's where the product is how you feel. When I write something, I want to make the reader feel a certain way. I enjoy the feeling of crafting that and imagining, putting myself in the mind of the reader and imagining how they would experience this based on all the context of the story. And my concern would be that by using AI, I would be introducing patterns that I may not be immediately aware of. I might be introducing elements that might make my work homogeneous, my work and the work of others homogeneous to a point where I would lose an edge that I might have just by writing myself. And so, unlike programming, where the code doesn't matter for most people, with fiction, the code absolutely matters.
That is a very interesting point because let's say that you're working on like the scope of one page and the AI is making suggestions to you and you go, oh, okay, this one looks all right. That's for one page. But then you're right. Like if you do that for like every page, you might tend towards, it's like the frog in boiling water thing where the frog doesn't realize that it's getting boiled if you like slowly crank the temperature, right? But then by the end of it, you're right. Like it's different than you thought. That's a really interesting point.
And also, how would you even like? There's all these studies around how people are like if you want to learn with AI, it's a bad idea because you're not actually learning anything; you're just being exposed to information. And people have written, they've done these tests where you have people write with AI and write without AI. People who wrote with AI can't remember the contents of the essay, and writing a book is already it's already quite difficult in terms of keeping everything in context, right? Because there's so much context. And I'm writing in the same universe. So all of my stories, I already have a bunch of them already planned out. They take place in the exact same universe, just on slightly different timelines. And so I'd have to rely on this machine to accurately remember the context of all this stuff. And I would somehow have not only would I have to remember it, it would be influencing it or maybe even driving it entirely. If it's coming up with suggestions, what it's doing is it's writing the lore of the world that I'm trying to build. And so I'll end up at a point where, do I even own this world anymore if I have to ask the machine, hey, sorry, what did you say happened 1,000 years ago in the story? Like, it wouldn't feel like it's mine. It would feel like an entirely economic activity at that point. It would feel like I don't care about how beautiful the writing is. I don't care about how cool the story is. Is it making me money? And if that was the approach that I would have, then I would probably just use AI to write it. But given that my approach is I want to feel really big-brained and cool, and I want people to look at me and go, hey, that guy Christian, he's pretty smart. And if I make money from it, that's pretty cool as well. That's my take on it.
It's interesting that's the way that you're describing science fiction writing is almost analogous to how I view personal coding projects, actually, because it's the same thing. Like you're talking about writing the lore. When I'm building my own personal project and getting into the head of it and wanting to feel big-brained and learn something, right? And the feeling of it being my own thing, that's exactly the same way that I look at AI contributions in that sense as well.
They are very analogous. I actually spoke about this in a video at some point randomly. I don't remember which video, but programming and writing fiction are very analogous because you start off with a loose idea, something very, very loose, something on a planet or something, some conflict, right? And then you have all these disparate pieces all over the place. And you have to figure out the logic. How does this work? And you lay out the logic. You have a loose structure of how it works, and then you start filling in the details. It's so similar to programming, it's actually not even funny.
I'll kind of say that I think everything is actually just programming. It's all programming.
Okay, go for it.
I think there's there's certain like activities we do, like art and like interpersonal communication and writing fiction, which have this kind of fuzzy veil atop them that they're like, oh, this isn't a procedural thing. But the more I think about it, like deep down, it is kind of a procedural thing because like I was thinking about this yesterday, like what is creativity and art but just optimization with lipstick on it? It's just like optimization, but like we call it we have like a certain vibe atop it, and like that may seem crazy, but like you could take a piece of art and you could do this now, and like, for instance, like a YouTube video, and you could you could parameterize it into discrete little things. How do we tune each of the colors? How do we tune each of the little sounds? And we could do that for like stratified groups of people as well. This type of person is going to respond well to like a squeezing sponge sound. This group of people is going to like this kind of thing, And then you do that across as many people as possible, throw like a CNN on that, and it can be optimized. Like it looked like it was art on the surface, but it's just like an algorithmic thing. And I would say the exact same thing could be done with fiction. I know that's a hot take, but like I think we're not close to that yet. We would have to parameterize and break down. We'd have to dive into like story science really deeply to optimize like what is the perfect story. But it kind of gets back to that question, right? If it's like why do you do it? And it's like playing the drums versus using a drum machine. Like at a certain point, like if everything could be handled by a super intelligent AI that was, not just like capable of any procedural thing, but like we cracked the code on generating infinite unique stories, infinite unique ideas as well. Like this thing could just churn out more than any human output ever could. Like at a certain point, you have to spend your time or you just get depressed and stop living,
Well, can I say something on that? Because I want to touch on what you just said 10 seconds ago about generating infinite ideas. Do we even want that? Hear me out, right? Hear me out. Right now, what you could do is you could go to ChatGPT and you can say, generate me endless stories in the universe of Lord of the Rings. You could do this, but I would argue that no one cares.
I would argue back actually that no, you can't generate infinite unique stories of the Lord of the Rings. I think any output of a LLM currently is finite. It's contained within the human infosphere. Because all of our language or verbal behavior is just like stuff people have said in the past being rehashed. You could get a bunch of combinations of that.
To do infinite, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to observe reality and invent words essentially.
Oh, like you have to have like Welsh words with like 7 L's and like just make up like a new Welsh language. But my point was just to finish it. My point was, I don't think anyone cares about made up artificial stories because you could do that right now. You can do that literally right now. And yet from what I know, people aren't using it. I think that there's something about the human touch. I think that these stories way more in our minds because they're made by humans.
I think there was a really like a very interesting thought that we could discuss maybe is I remember in 2022 when the stable diffusion models were just getting good and it wasn't just like Will Smith eating spaghetti, it's like, oh, we can actually make something. There was a big news headline.
He's now making spaghetti.
Yeah, exactly. Will Smith is making spaghetti code as we speak with Claude. No, but there was this big headline that some dude entered an AI generated photo into like a Texas art competition or something like that, and
yes.
it won the competition. Yeah. And that was big news back then, and everyone was saying like, oh, artists are finished, it's over, like pack it up, go home. But I think people have come to realize, like, because we don't talk about artists being done for anymore, because who genuinely, like, when you look at a piece of art, not only is it the human touch that you're looking at, but also I think people appreciate the time and effort that it takes to create that piece. So for example, my brother's girlfriend is a very talented visual artist, and we have a corgi, like a dog, and she did a painting of this dog, and it was really, really good. Like the detail was immaculate, and it was great. Now, what you could do is take a photo of our dog, put it through ChatGPT and say, hey, can you do this in an oil painting style? But who cares? Like, she made this thing. It took her a really long time. The product is immaculate, and she made it. And there's all of that other emotion that goes into whenever we look at this piece of art that we have on our wall. It's like there's so much more that goes into that, and you appreciate not only the human touch, and you appreciate all of the time and effort that somebody took to create that piece as well.
So remember, like, Expedition 33 got into hot water a little while ago because they used AI placeholders for some posters in the video game, and then it turned out that, oh, sorry, it was just a placeholder, and then they replaced it with the actual art. They forgot to replace it. I think the reason why people find AI use in a corporate setting to be icky, but it's like AI use in a corporate setting to do with art, why they find it icky is because they know that the artist would be a reverse centaur. They would be forced to kind of like use AI as much as possible to optimize money, optimize profits. And that's it. I don't think that people would have an issue with it if the artist was a centaur. In other words, if the artist was given a tool, an AI tool, it's like, listen, bro, or like your brother's girlfriend, right? They would still call her bro. Listen, bro, they're talking to her. We trust you that you will be judicious in your use with this AI tool. Here's a tool. It can help you in certain conditions. We trust you as a talented artist to use this tool in the way that you think would be best. If there was no pressure, no economic pressure, no use this or you're fired, if it was just a tool, I don't think anyone would have that much of an issue with it. I think that's where a lot of the ickiness from that has to do with AI art comes from, of like this is inauthentic, it's entirely profit driven, there's no soul, it's just it's a purely money seeking activity, and that's not what I want when I look at art.
Yeah, I big time agree. There's it's not my idea, but Neil Postman, who's like a cultural critic, he has said like we shape our tools and then our tools shape us. And this thing of like the concept of a harness is nothing new. In fact, I would say every tool is actually a harness. You know, like when we invented the like stand-up saddle for horseback riding, like that reshaped like mounted combat because people could fire bows and arrows and ride their horses at the same time. And you could say that, like, I'm not a historian, this is probably completely inaccurate, but like that
it sounds cool, so I'll believe
it. The Mongol Empire, right, to be much more effective, and then they spread everywhere, and that changed the course of history. And it's the same thing, like our tools are continually shaping us. You know, I have my magical titanium brick. I can summon like any of my accessories from anywhere. Like I can call whatever I want. I can look up any piece of information. And it's the same thing with like art and thinking, and like the line, like the tool line is getting fuzzier and fuzzier. Like they're shaping us more and more and more. We're getting closer and closer to kind of the core of what makes us human, the like story generating machine or whatever that's in here. And eventually what's going to happen is like BCIs, and like people want to plug the machine right into the brain, right? We're already like, if you're using, I don't want to give them free publicity actually. If you're using a TTS, pay us. If you're gonna,
I'll censor the name of the brand so they can have to pay us. Yeah.
I think
insert TTS brand here.
Yes.
I do know someone at they might do it. There's like 5 billion.
I'll have to censor that as well. Thanks for giving me more work to do. I appreciate it, Sylvan.
It was right next to the other thing. But yeah, you know, like when you're talking, you've got your TTS and you've got your like 5 agent harnesses. It's like already your brain is plugged into the machine. And I'm already kind of like augmented human in terms of like the art I make, right? Is like a harness. It's a human harness, like the types plus kind of thing. Oh, I can't. God damn it. There's so many brands. The marketing is like sneaking into our language.
Dude, that shows how effective their marketing is. They've cooked you.
Yeah.
You're like a sleeper agent now.
I know. It sucks. We have a rule on this podcast. We can only recommend open source tools that are not for profit.
That's pretty base.
If they pay us, they still have to pay us.
Yeah.
Can I just point something out? I've noticed something in the source of this reality. No one refers to their phone anymore. Everyone says the magical box in my pocket. And when they do that, they always grab it and they show it. Have you noticed this? Like, I've seen this so many times. People will say, oh, I just have this magical thing in my pocket that does the thing. No one says their phone. Isn't that, like, I don't know if you've noticed this. I've seen this on like many, many times people do this.
We're merging with the machine. What?
I mean, we are literally cyborgs already, so yeah, we're not that far off. I think you have a good point, though. I think because, like, I mean, for example, I don't have an issue with an artist using Photoshop, right? Even though I know that Photoshop is influencing the art, it has to. I've used Photoshop. I know it does. I accept the use of Photoshop because I know that the artist still has control over what's actually happening, and it's similar enough to the actual physical process, although I know that they are being influenced by the software itself. So it is like a back and forth sort of loop that's happening with the software, but I still accept it as long as I know that they're not pressured into doing certain things just for the sake of money maxing.
And see,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
I think where we can take this back to coding so that we keep the viewer retention up. You know what I'm saying? But
Yes.
Hell yeah.
where we take this back to coding is, Sylvan, I actually think a lot of the things that you said probably like a minute ago are exactly the same way that people are really scared, but also there are lots, like on Reddit, if you go to Reddit, God forbid you go to Reddit, but there's like a lot of people who are very anti-AI in programming and in the workplace, and there's a lot of negativity about it. I think because of the way that it's framed. I think if people were framing it honestly, exactly how you were saying, you would prefer AI tools be framed for artists, which is like, we trust you as a professional, as someone with good taste, as someone with good judgment, who's gone to school for this thing, and you know about this thing, to use this judiciously and to use it to where you believe it is correct. Whereas what we have is a dystopian hellscape where everyone's like, Token Max or you're fired. But that's winding back. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen all the, like, for example, the Uber CTO has said because they blew through their AI budget in like a month and a half, they're going to start winding that back. And I heard rumors, I don't know if this is true, I heard rumors that Meta has stopped their token leaderboard. Apparently the morale at Meta has never been lower, by the way, which I thought was also pretty funny. But I think it just comes back to like, people are having something forced on them and saying, no, you do it this way. It's going to be better. Trust me, bro. I definitely went to school for this thing. Yeah, I went to school for business. You can trust me. This will make your job better. It's not like you went to school for computer science and you learned all of this stuff. No, I'm telling you as a business major, trust me. This will make us money.
Well, this is the whole centaur and reverse centaur thing. So a centaur is a human who uses AI to in their work, or the machine to do their work. It's the head of a human on a machine body. Where a reverse centaur is the opposite. It's a human body being puppeted by a machine, which is a nightmare scenario to be in. If you're a programmer and you're allowed to use, it's like, look, you can use AI. We trust that you know what you're doing. We trust that you will use it sparingly and that you will use it like a scalpel. It's like a scalpel whenever you need to. Then those are centaurs. Those people will love using AI at work. A lot of programmers are reverse centaurs. Use AI now faster, 10x, 100x. What is this? 1,000x, bro. 100x is so yesterday. That's where you're being puppeted by the machine and you're struggling to keep up. That's the difference between people who enjoy and who don't enjoy using AI at work. It's the ones who are allowed to use it judiciously as people who know what they're doing in their field.
I have a lot of opinions on the fear-based marketing and fear-based like methods of coercion in general. I think there should be legislature against that. The reason they use it is because fear is the most contagious and strongest human emotion there is, and they weaponize it in advertising and marketing, and almost all of our politicians kind of are operating on fear-based principles. And in fact, YouTube is filled with like psyops and propaganda that are just literal fear bait. And it's just a very, very inhumane way to treat humans. It's like treating humans like they're cattle, like they're being factory farmed for their money and their time.
I do agree with a lot of what you've said there. And I think at the end of the day, that is the amount of damage that has done to the population's mental state is absurd. Like, if you're on any of these, I don't know, again, God forbid you go to Reddit, but like r/CS careers or something like that, just the amount of doomerism, and even on YouTube, I get recommended people who are doing like doomer AI videos where they're like, dude, I can't get a job. AI is going to automate everything. What's the point? The amount of damage that has collectively done to an entire generation of aspirational people, dude, it's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. And I don't blame, like, I want to stay positive and I try to stay positive and just like cut all of that out. But I don't blame anybody who falls for it because it's everywhere and they just push it so hard. It's like if you are a young person who doesn't have a lot of life experience and you're very uncertain about your future, and all you hear when you listen to like tech podcasts is like, programming is over. It's done, guys. Pack it up. Go home. I don't recommend you learn computer science. It's going to be done in 5 years. In 6 to 12 months, we're going to automate all programming jobs. And then like a month and a half ago, they backflip and they're like, oh, hold up, guys. It hasn't been as bad as we thought. Maybe we should slow down a little bit. The amount of damage that they've done to just like people's morale in the last 4 years is absurd. I don't like it.
I would say as well, if I can cut in, is it's not just that, it's like subliminal marketing in general should be heavily regulated. It's not just the AI industry, it's everyone in a marketing department who kind of does something that's like doesn't seem ethical, but they go ahead with it anyway for the bottom line. Like, I mean, TikTok, like short form content as an industry, people who use marketing to get you to buy like garbage plastic devices and like just like hyper consumerism fueled by I've looked into this a little bit. There's like a bunch of tactics that people use, like nostalgia for some reason, I don't know the scientific reason, really increases people's willingness to part with their money.
Well, why do you think I bought this Minecraft t-shirt? Nostalgia, dude. They got me. They got me.
They got you so bad.
They got me.
Yeah. Yeah, marketing as a field has come a long way. It's scary what they can trick you into doing and buying. I mean, God, there's brands everywhere.
You don't recommend, that's a uni hat, right? You don't recommend it? Bad uni?
Well, I mean, it's like one of those environmental things, you know, where it's like, I blame the environment and not individual people in it. Like, they're greedy shitbags. Like, everyone in the entire town hates these guys. They charge way too much. It's a bloated bureaucracy that offers a horrible education. Like, they're an absolute joke. And they basically, they're a diploma mill, essentially. Like, they exploit, like, brutally roasting now. University of Vermont. Like, their business model is the children of hedge fund like executives and dentists and doctors that are like, you know, like it's an okay education if you really go and seek it out. You know, you can go and talk to them, but the problem is, like, for the average person, that's not the case. They're just like sitting in a lecture, essentially playing like a YouTube video to you. Like, it's not worth the out of state tuition is, I don't know, $40,000 a year or something absurd. It's like very clearly just a cash cow company. It's not about education.
That's how much my entire degree cost. In Australia, it's pretty good. That's how much I paid for the whole like 5.5 years of study.
Mine was a third of that, by the way. A third of yours, Matt.
Dude, I wish I could just Europe max right now. That'd be crazy.
Europe is so based. You guys are awesome.
You know what? This is such a beautiful segue. Because hope, right? I think hope is very important. I think that people trying to do max to make money, I'm not a huge fan of that. But I think this is an opportunity to talk about something really cool. So, Matt, I think you finished university like late last year, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We can go into the teaching assistant stuff in a second as well. I think that's very interesting. But you interviewed at Microsoft, and you actually work there now, which I know we joke around with Microsoft. It's actually a huge accomplishment. Actually, unironically, like well done.
Thank you.
I want to learn more about the process. I know that you weren't too big into lead code, which I agree with you on that. I want to learn about the process. So how did you apply? How did the process go? And like, tell us whatever you know that you can talk about.
Well, I'll tell you this. Regarding the process itself, in the video, I didn't talk about how many applications I did because I didn't want to come off as boastfully. I made one application and I got in off of one application. So that's very
question.
Different. Yeah.
Is this the same one? Because you made that video like 5 months ago, I think, on your second channel. So it's the same same process.
One application. In fact, I applied so when I graduated uni, I already had a job and I was pretty happy there, but know your worth, queen. I applied to a couple. I applied to four jobs.
Mhm.
Two of them were at Boeing, because I have a friend who works there, and he was like, "Oh, you can come work with me at Boeing." One of them was at Amazon, and one of them was at Microsoft. Both of the Boeing ones rejected me, but I got a callback from Microsoft and Amazon. I declined Amazon, and I just did Microsoft. So I made one application to Microsoft, and I got in, which seems to be not the experience of many people. That's why I didn't really want to bring it up in my original video, because I hear people are doing like lots and lots of applications. So it's not something I want to like boast about. But that was it. I did a LinkedIn cold apply, one application. The whole interview process, I did a recruiter phone call. Actually, I missed the first recruiter phone call because I was on holiday, and I got a call from a Malaysian number, and I was just like, I thought it was a scam call, so I just didn't pick it up. And then they called me a week later, and I'm like, I guess I'll pick this up. And it turns out it's a recruiter, and like, hey, I'm here from Microsoft about your application. Meanwhile, like the week before, I like dodged this call because I thought it was a scam, and I'm like, oh my god. So I was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry about that. So that was the recruiter phone screen. We just had like a 30 to 40 minute call where we chatted about my past experience, about my resume, just to get a feel for if I was a good fit for the team. Because the way that it worked for me, at least, was I got talked to by a recruiter, and then all of my interviews were conducted by people on the project that I was on. I don't know if that's a universal experience or not, but it was for me. Like everybody that I had like a technical or system design interview was actually on the project that I was on. And I mentioned this in my video as well. I think it's a really good idea to Google the project that you're applying for before you do your interviews. Especially because the one that I'm on is fully open source. Like you can just go to GitHub and look at it. So I just like, before my interviews, I was just reading about this project on GitHub. Number one, to make sure it was a good fit for me. And number two, so that I could actually demonstrate that I applied for this role because I'm really interested in this project. So I wonder, I've thought about why it was that I had such good, callback with my resume. And I think it's because I was like looking for jobs. There were other postings that Microsoft had at that time that I could have applied for, but I chose this one specifically because I looked at it, and like I said in my video, I just think like this one is me, and I applied for that one.
I think you spoke about this in the video, how people apply to like random jobs and they never hear back. But if you apply to the things you're actually interested in, your CV is actually for that thing, then you're more likely to actually get responses.
For sure. Because they told me in my interview, like, your resume is just like perfect for this role. So it's part luck as well. You know, the LinkedIn thing said like over 100 applicants as well. So they would have to do some kind of like AI filtering or like ATS stuff on that. So there's for sure a luck component to it as well. Like you've just got to get lucky with the filters too.
This advice is really good, and I've heard it from professional HR people and hiring teams as well. Don't cast a wide net. Go really specific. Like research the role, and like a mentor gave the example to me, like if you're kind of into software engineering but not super into it, and you're into firefighting, like look for fire stations that need software automation and like really sell yourself that you're into firefighting. It's gonna be like they get such a sea of these applications that are all just super generic. Like people just spam buzzwords. Like people say cloud architect now, and they've never like, they don't know any of the Kubernetes flags or anything like that. Like they just put all these buzzwords and it's meaningless. I mean, you can also go like next level. You can be a little bit devious and evil. Like the recruiter I know, she's kind of a mentor to me, connected to a mentor figure of mine. Like she color keys her resume to the company's branding. And I mean, you can get even worse. Like I would use OSINT tools to like find information about people, so I could use like ingratiation, which is a social engineering technique to like I mean, you don't have to go that evil, but
dude, if wherever company you work at in the future sees this recording, you might be in a bit of trouble.
Oh dude, no, that's the thing. I'm so charming. Like I can tell people I'm a cult leader and it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, it's on his LinkedIn, remember?
You know, I've actually done the last one. So when I used to apply to, I haven't applied to freelance gigs in a while because I've just been working with the same clients for years. But when I was applying for freelance positions, I would actually do a bit of OSINT research to figure out the name of the person who's going to see my application. And I've literally had instances where they were like, how did you because I said, because it said, it didn't say hello or to whom it may concern. It said, hello, Matt. Right? Like it would directly, and they would say, that was really cool. Like we noted, like, how did you find the person that was going to read this? Right. So that bit, actually, you should do a bunch of research before you apply anywhere. Really. I don't know why you wouldn't. It shows that you're interested. It shows that you care. Even before you start working there, it shows that you're interested and you care and you're resourceful. Like if I give you a problem, I don't have to hold your hand. You're like an autonomous fleshy robot that can go around and like
human agent.
You're a billion ex-engineer, human agent. Let's go.
Copyright that.
It's already copyrighted. It's on my recording, so I now own the rights to the term.
Guys, our new startup is going to be building. Oh shit! Sorry, my lights were on timer. Yeah, no,
you
that was
evil for
it. Just
a second there.
It hit 11 p.m. where I live, so my lights are. Let me just fix that real quick. I'm so sorry, guys.
You just turned red for a second. They turned evil.
Yeah. No, that was cool.
Yeah,
wait, that was a
now you're in
vibe.
1940s now.
Okay, no, we'll go back. We're evil. We're evil again.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, our new startup is going to be building human agents. I think that's really going to be the future. So
yes.
We'll go to YC, we'll go to San Francisco, we'll get it done. Human agents.
maybe not. Maybe not. Oh
yeah. How do you manufacture a human agent?
I think I know exactly how you manufacture a human agent.
Something to do with birds and bees. I don't know. Yeah.
Something about cabbages. Yeah.
There's this bird that drops them off outside your headquarters.
It's
Guys,
actually
I'm
a drone.
too young for this. You
It's actually
can't
a drone that
you can't be
drops them
telling
off.
me this.
Oh, yeah.
I have sensitive ears.
Oh, actually, this is a perfect segue. Speaking of having kids, right? Imagine, this isn't going to be weird, I promise. Imagine that I'm 10. Hi, it's me, little Christian. Hello, I'm 10. And I notice you, Matt. We're hanging out, Matt, and I notice that you have this in your hand, right? And I go,
I can't see your video, by the way.
Oh my God, I forgot. I have
Yeah.
the board in my hand, the SDM
Okay.
board in my hand.
Yep.
So I'm holding him, the audience should be able to see this. I'm holding in my hand, I'm holding the SDM board. And you seem really preoccupied and really interested in it. And I'm like, hi, I'm 10-year-old Christian. Hello. And I'm like, why is this? And I'm asking you, like, why is this board so cool? Why do you like it? Sell me on doing embedded programming.
Well, first of all, my lawyer has advised me not to talk to random 10-year-olds on the street, but
yes.
No, if we're being serious,
we're
being
cousins.
serious for a minute.
We're cousins, so it's okay. Yeah.
Look, if we're being serious for a minute, I think a lot of people really want to understand how things work. And I think that a really, if you think about what abstraction is, especially in computer science, abstraction is necessary to let us be able to do more. So, for example, nobody is coding in opcodes and binary anymore for good reason, because it's just an inefficient way to get things done. So in order to make that more efficient, we built assembly language. That was considered high level at some point. And then assembly language became too cumbersome for people to do. And so we built more. And you can think about it like this, in one line of Python, how much backend stuff goes into one line of Python? Whereas to do a task, for example, what I was doing at that company was writing Excel scripts. It was so fast for me to just write out the Python to do that. If I had to write the equivalent thing in C, it would take me literally forever. So I think abstraction has very good use in computer science. There's the phrase standing on shoulders of giants, for instance, and that's a phrase for a good reason, I think. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of people just want to know how stuff works. And that was definitely what it was like for me. And so a lot of people, I think, are not satisfied by typing print into the Python console. It's okay, well, let's go a little bit deeper than that. How does the print function actually get called? What takes that text and interprets it and then decides to print something out to the screen? How are the characters going to be represented on the screen? Let's go a little bit lower than that. It's how does the graphics and windowing system work to even show characters on the display in the first place? So there's so many layers that you can just, even from one simple thing like print hello world, you can just go deep down to a final fundamental level and understand how that works. And I don't think anything is a better teaching instrument for that than embedded systems. Because, for example, if you think about a desktop computer with Linux on it, how are you going to write a program that directly interfaces with the registers of your CPU? You can do it, but it's like the CPU is so complicated, and it's got multiple cores and multiple threads. It's crazy work to try and write something for a desktop CPU. But in the embedded world, the CPUs are still simple enough that you can understand actually how they work at a fundamental level. And so you start there. If that's your entry point, you get familiar with it. You're like, okay, so this is what memory mapped I/O is. This is how registers work. This is what hardware acceleration looks like when I have dedicated hardware to do things like floating point operations, for instance. And you can scale that up from there. So actually, we're twinning. I've got an STM board on my desk as well. But
Nice.
it's just an easy entry point to this entire world. And so what you can do after that is you can look at something like the Intel Intrinsics Guide, which is basically just like, okay, what baked in hardware features can I use on my Intel processor? And you can actually call them from C. And for example, one of them is like hardware CRC32, which is an algorithm that you can use to compare two files or two pieces of data and check them for errors. And so what you can do with that is you can offload that to hardware. And because you've been exposed to, okay, well, I know how to offload things to hardware because I've done that in the embedded world, you can kind of like grok that intuitively and say, oh, well, my Intel CPU or my AMD CPU can do this also. And this is how I do that. So I think like at the end of the day, if you want to learn how the big things work, you have to start with the small things. And that's what these are really good for, is like just a way to get your foot in the door, get your feet wet. And you don't even have to scale up. Like you can make a career out of embedded systems. And importantly for people that like this kind of thing, I think embedded is the largest area of low-level programming that is still widely employable for. I get a lot of questions about this, where it's like, okay, I love system programming. I like doing the Linux stuff. I like doing like network programming and stuff with sockets, and I like doing memory management, etc. But there's no jobs in it. There's a lot of jobs in embedded. You just got to look. So I think embedded is a big field where there's still a lot of low-level programming jobs because it has to be low-level. And I think a lot of people look for that.
I had this really magical moment. So I was learning about how CPUs work, and this is like a very abstracted explanation of how how a bus works. Like let's say you want to transfer information from one register to another in a CPU, right? Like if you imagine like 8 wires, like you have like an 8-bit thing. So you have like 8 wires, that's the bus. And those wires go into and out of the registers. If you want to move, and correct me if I'm wrong about this explanation, but if you want to move data from one register to another, you open the output on register 1 that floods the bus with the information, and then you open the input on register 3, for example, and now that's also flooded. So now the bus and the registers are actually all contain this information, and now you just close the output on register 1 and you close the input on register 3, and now you've moved information from register 1 to register 3 at the speed of electricity, essentially. Would you say that that's like an accurate way of describing that?
It's reasonable. It depends as well on the transistor, like the exact transistor setup. But at the end of the day, buses are how data is moved around. Even but like interchip buses exist as well. Have you looked at so for example, all of these little pins on the STM32, you can connect to various things. Have you messed around with that at all, like chip-to-chip communication with buses like I2C or SPI?
I haven't used it yet, no.
But at the end of the day, data transfer, for example, on a bus, let's take like one of the I2C or SPI buses as an example. Are you familiar with like clocking in computers, like how clocking works?
Yeah.
So everything is based around reading the right data at the right time. So when you're trying to transmit like bits on a serial stream, for instance, you've got your serial data stream and also a clock stream, which basically the edge of the clock is where you read that bit of data and ingest it. And that's something that's very hidden from you in high level things, especially. Like if you just you program in Python or you program in JavaScript or something, you never actually understand, and you would hear these terms get thrown around, like buses and clock speed. Like, for example, in an Intel processor, you hear about clock speed. Well, nobody really knows what that actually means unless you actually go looking for it. But embedded, for example, clocking is a fundamental very important part of building your embedded device and building it reliably. And so you have to learn about that. And I think, like, if we're going back to how I would sell embedded, it forces you to learn about things that you otherwise would never be exposed to, like how CPU register transfers work. And for example, there's DMA as well, which the CPU doesn't have to do instructions to transfer memory, and that improves performance a lot. But you just learn about these things that you never would have to understand because computers are so powerful these days. So you never have to worry about that kind of thing. And I think it's a bit of a shame because people are losing out on optimization. There's the argument in the games industry where it's like, because we've got all these AI upscalers now, they no longer have to optimize and stuff like that. But you're forced to optimize on one of these. And I think for people, if we go all the way back to like the start of the podcast, where Sylvan was talking about how developers should want to just like continuously optimize and optimize and optimize. Well, this is a platform where you can do that. So if that's you, like if you like to just continuously optimize and optimize and optimize, these things need, because look at the size of this little CPU. It's tiny, you know?
Did you have, because like when I learned that thing about how data, because I was like, how does this even, like, how is stuff moved around the CPU? How is data moved around the CPU, right? And I looked it up and just blew my mind. It was the coolest thing. It was like, oh, so it's not just magic. Like there's like physical things that happen to move this data around. It was such a beautiful feeling to learn that. Did you have like a similar sort of instance where it's like, oh, this is really, really cool. Like this tickles me in just the right way?
That's a very interesting question. I would say probably when I learned about memory mapped I/O, I would say that was the big thing for me, because when you do programming on embedded, right, and you're changing registers, you're not just changing registers in your CPU, because if you think about this chip, it's actually split up into multiple different parts, and you'll hear terms like on-chip hardware described a lot. So for example, on an STM32 chip inside this package right here, there's actually multiple hardware devices. So for example, you could consider the timers that operate on that to be a separate hardware device. You could consider the I2C or SPI handlers for those protocols. Those are a separate hardware device. You've got analog to digital converters and digital to analog converters, which are also hardware devices. And the question is, how does your CPU control those hardware devices? So if I want to set a timer on my STM32 to go off, let's say like twice every second, so that's 500 ms, how do I actually set that up? Because at the end of the day, yeah, we're setting values in registers, but how is it that the CPU can just do a move instruction on one value into this one register, and then magically the timer starts operating at 500 milliseconds? It didn't really make sense to me. And once I learned about what memory mapped I/O is, which is literally like, there are ranges. If you think about the main memory of a microcontroller, where it's like 0x00 all the way to something. And if you look at the datasheet for your STM32, because I imagine you'll have to do that quite a bit when you get into it, but there's a section there about memory mappings for hardware peripheral registers to the CPU's main memory. And so, as it turns out, when you set the value in your C code, it looks something like timer 0, and then you do the little struct address thing, and then you set whatever the value is. Memory mapped I/O is like the hardware timer's memory is getting directly set by that. And that kind of realization that it's just shared. It's shared memory. That was pretty crazy, because now I understand, like, when I type in this code, like timer 0, comma, whatever the register is, 5 equals like 500 milliseconds. But that's not how you do it, but just as an easy example.
Mm-hmm.
How does that timer actually then start ticking at 500 milliseconds? And it's learning about that, and it's right there in the datasheet. It literally tells you this memory address in the CPU's main memory corresponds to this register on the hardware peripheral of the timer. That was pretty nuts. And you'll get into that too once you start playing with your STM board.
I'd like to just say, as a quick note on really detailed technical things, because I'd imagine just based on the variability you get in a large audience, like some people love that, some people completely glazed over by that.
Yeah.
And that'll depend on the topic as well. But there's like this kind of misconception I've had for a long time that like these technically difficult topics are like really painful to learn. And I don't think that has to be the case at all. I think that misconception can often come from the traditional school environment. Like for me, linear algebra was really hard to learn because it was like a boring lecture like 2 times a week, like that doesn't work at all. And then like I sat down with like algebraic geometrist PhD candidate, and he like explained category theory to me in like 10 minutes. And it like I skipped like 20 classes, and it's actually some of these things, like they seem super daunting and complicated, but if you have a good professional mentor who knows how to break the ideas down, you can really get into some fun, deep stuff quickly. And once you're at that level of abstraction, it kind of becomes its own reward. It's like you don't need pay to back it up. It's like I just do it because I love it.
I think it depends a lot on the teacher. So I completely appreciate that a lot of people glazed over at what I was just talking about. I might be a bit biased because my audience is really geared towards that kind of technical discussion.
Oh yeah,
but,
you're good. You're good. I didn't glaze over that, to be clear. I get, but that's what I'm saying. I get comments where people are saying like, this stuff is really hard, but your explanation was very good. And that stuff really like, it makes me feel really good. And it makes me think back to when I was in university and taking electrical engineering classes. And the way that they taught electrical engineering classes at my uni, I thought was pretty bad because they would give you just like a piece of paper with a circuit drawn on it, and the circuit didn't do anything. It was just like, oh, here's a resistor, here's a power supply, here's like a capacitor. Figure out what the voltage is at this point. It's like, okay, why do I care about that? But as soon as it got to like, okay, now design your own circuit with a little chip on it that actually does something, like it blinks an LED or something like that. I learned so much more just from doing that than the whiteboard exercises ever did. And I think it's for sure like the concept is the same because at the end of the day, the brightness of that LED is based on the voltage at that point. So it's the same concept, but it's just explored in a different way with a different teacher. And I think that makes all the difference, to be honest, because there's a point for what you were saying with maths. I actually struggled learning maths as well because maths in a vacuum to me was like, why am I learning this? What's the point of learning this? But as soon as it got to things like bit maths or anything to do with like frame buffers for like graphics, that's when I was like, okay, mom.
That's cool.
Mom reveal.
Oh, I can't see her. Oh, okay.
I can't
Hello.
see. I can't see.
It'll be in the footage. All right, go on.
No, I was done with my point.
Oh, well, I mean, I also had a hard time learning math because I had a bad teacher, and I had the exact same experience. Like, why am I learning this? Like, what's the point of this? But then I learned about like bit shifting operations, and I was like, wait, so I can just like multiply and divide by 2, but just by this is like exploiting some mathematical property of base 2, and you can do multiplication and division like without doing multiple additions, or like that was. It's stuff like that once you understand it, like if you don't have too many gaps and you actually understand it, it all becomes fascinating, at least for me.
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's a shame as well that a lot of people, I don't know if you guys have ever felt this way, but certainly I can be discouraged from learning a topic based on my first impressions on it. So, with maths topics, for example, if I have a really boring teacher and that's my first introduction to that concept, for example, because I did electrical engineering, I had to learn a lot about partial differential equations and stuff like that, because you can model things like capacitors and inductors with that. But my first introduction was just like, oh, here's a random ass equation. What's it useful for? I don't know, bro. You figure it out. It's useful for something. And yeah, here's how you like manipulate it to get some kind of result. It's like, okay, cool. I'm going to scroll Instagram, like I don't really care about this. But then
I hated PDEs as well.
That
was my least favorite part of math.
Yeah. And I think it's just like the way that it was taught. Because as soon as I saw how that was applicable to the stuff that I'm actually interested in, it was like, oh, okay, this is it. This is sweet.
Did you get any insights on this working as a teaching assistant?
The stuff that I taught as a teaching assistant was actually really interesting. So it was not the course that I'll tell you about the course that I tutored for example, because it's not like I tutored like an algebra class or something like that. I taught a practical, literally the task is from start to finish of the semester, students get in a team and they build an electronics product. Like they build an embedded system from start to finish. So what we would do every semester, I say we, my like coordinator of the course was awesome. What he would do is every semester he would come up with a unique project idea. So for example, one of the things that we got to do was like make a piano keyboard. So it's like you have the piano keyboard, it connects to the PC over USB and it sends MIDI signals. Like you guys know MIDI?
I have a music degree, so yes.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
I do too. Yeah.
So awesome. So it sends MIDI signals to the PC. And the idea is like you can access it as a device in a MIDI player and you can just go beep, 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 and hear it in your headphones, right? So that was an example of one project that we did. Another one was like a macro keypad. So if you guys have seen like an Elgato Stream Deck, it was basically like make an Elgato Stream Deck. And so it's cool stuff. Another one was a multimeter. So like probe voltage, etc., etc. So it was basically like from start to finish, do a design for a board that solves this problem, write all the firmware that goes on it, and then at the end of the semester, we've got all these like requirements that it has to hit. So, you know, for example, it has to do this kind of function, like with the macro keypad. It's like you have to be able to execute 3 or 4 keystrokes in a row with one press, for example. So you would do like hit one button, does it do Control C, Control V, etc. So it was really fun. And it was very open-ended. We basically just said to the students like, okay, by this point in your studies, you should know how to do a lot of the base concepts. So pull it all together and build something real. And that was what I really loved about it. So my role was not necessarily as someone who explains, this is how you solve the math equation. I would think of it more like a coach. So the students are thinking like, okay, we've got this super open-ended problem. We're considering solving it in a number of directions. And they get somebody in who's already done the course, already has some industry experience and has built projects of their own to basically just like advise them and say, oh, it's interesting that you're exploring this aspect of it, but have you considered these kinds of roadblocks that you might encounter with that strategy? And just like help them explore alternatives, like not tell them what the alternatives are, but help them come to that on their own. And that was really rewarding, both as someone teaching and also as someone, like when I took the course, having that kind of environment was really good also. And so based on what we were talking about before, it doesn't really apply there because this was a very practical learning thing. The more interesting topic to talk about with that is how they were using AI in that, because that was a bit bipolar. Have you guys done stuff like that in university or anything before? Like that kind of practical?
It really depends on the professor in my experience. Like some of them do not really care about the students at all. And the ones that do will actually give you those projects. Like, I guess we had a class, the professor wasn't good, but I kind of took it and ran with it called, what was it called? It was basically like the Raspberry Pi class, essentially, kind of intro to embedded. And God, this is such a me project, but I like got the PyCam 2 module and I like threaded it through my shirt through like a buttonhole, right? And then like I fed it into the Pi and then I would take that video footage and I would use like a CNN to detect faces and then I'd pass them to this API called FaceCheckID, which like runs faces against social media accounts and then returns you like the like LinkedIn profile or associated, like often people will come up in like their school's databases. I mean, you can send that over to like Sherlock or an OSINT program and like pull their name and phone number and stuff. So you could like be walking around and have like an AirPod in and just like insta docs everyone you looked at. Yeah,
and
we
that's
had some
how you
cool
got the name of that
projects.
recruiter, right? For your
Yep.
That's cool though, because it's not just the project itself. It's a demonstration of like an entire pipeline and all of these different like subsystems interacting with each other to do something really cool and really useful. And that's what this course that we were doing was about, is exactly that, because you can learn all of this stuff in a vacuum. Who cares, right? But then what's really useful for people is like, here's how you bring it together and actually make something.
I'm curious because, I mean, you've already achieved quite a lot. Like, I mean, obviously, not just professionally, but I know, did you used to do surfing and CSGO competitively as well?
Okay, so I got to global elite in CSGO, but I was not like I was not a professional player, like in any stretch of the imagination. Like global elite in CS:GO is like the top 0.5% of players global, like big flex by the way. But within that, there is so much variance to like the pro level players who go like overseas and play matches and stuff, but between like the person who just like achieved that rank at one point in time. So I was very much I was nowhere near like professional player, but it's so even within like the top rank of the game, there is so much variance there. And I was a good player and I got the top rank in the game, but I was nowhere near like professional level. Sorry to disappoint anybody who was like lore crafting out there that I had a double life playing Counter-Strike professionally. I'm sorry to disappoint.
But I'm just curious, like, do you manage your time actively? Like how, because for example, if I play video games, which is why I don't play them a lot anymore, when I do play video games, it's all I can think about. I don't care about anything else other than how to maximize everything in this video game. How do you make it so that you can still play video games, but also like learn and like do something with your life other than just video games?
I could answer this one.
You just run 10 AI agents in parallel, obviously. Right? I'm kidding. But yeah, Sylvan, go ahead.
One of the most useful things for me in like controlling my own behavior is this concept called DRA or DRI, differential reinforcement of alternative or incompatible behavior. So rather than trying to resist the like thing that's an autism trap for you, like you just have to create a bigger autism trap that's productive. And that can be kind of hard to do sometimes, but you can like do some things to kind of put your fingers on the scale a little bit. Like you can I'll often listen to music when I'm doing a boring thing I don't like. The research papers, right, they do grab me like once I'm into it, but it's the same way that's like programming where like you have to kind of overcome that inertia. And what I'll do is I'll use a concept in like animal training called chunking, where you kind of break the sessions into really small kind of atomic pieces, and then you reward the pieces with as big of a reward as you can. And rewards reinforcers are differing depending on the person. It could be food, it could be music, it could be whatever. And then you can train yourself to perform longer and longer intervals and fade the reward gradually over time. So like less of a reward, longer intervals, and you can build your way up to big things. But right off the bat, like I like a DRI or DRA to immediately extinct like a habit I don't want to be doing.
I need to get into the productivity hack world, to be honest, because the question that Christian asked was like, how do I manage my time? The answer is I don't. I operate in this, and maybe this is a sign of like undiagnosed ADHD or something, but the way I get things done is literally, dude, I just like hyperfixate on something for 8 hours at a time. So if I'm making a YouTube video, I have not yet successfully really been able to do the thing where it's like you film like one half of it the day before, you film another half like the next day, and then you do the editing on day 3. It's like if I'm gonna sit down and do a YouTube video, it's gonna be like start to finish on the same day, unless it's like a 2-hour long video where I might cut it out if I just run out of time. But it's often that I've gone until like 2 or 3 in the morning because I just want to finish recording. And so it's the same thing if I'm working on like a personal project. I think a lot of people do this, like where you have issues finishing projects. I have issues finishing projects because once it gets like good enough, I'm on to the next thing. So I have like all of these 90 to 95% finished projects that work well enough to do what I need them to do, but they're not like fully finished because the next shiny little thing like grabs my attention. So I just have to really, to get things done, I just like, as soon as I get into that operation mode of like, okay, I'm ready to just sit down and hyperfixate on this for like 8 hours, I just make sure to maximize that.
It may not be healthy, but it's so relatable.
I'm the same way.
I think we're all exactly that. Like, I'm working on a spell checker written in C, right? Because I did it in a way where I didn't look up any like I didn't look up the distance algorithm, like none of that. I thought, if I were to make a spell checker, how would I build it from scratch? I did it in C because C is based. And the way that it worked, of course, yes, the way that it worked is I don't work on it every day. What I do is I get these spells of autism where like the first batch was like a week where all I did was work on this thing. Every waking moment was dedicated to this thing. Then I ignored it for a month, and then I spent 2 more days on it, and I improved it dramatically. And now I'm back to this like pause in between. Like at some point, I'm gonna get a sniped again. I'm gonna go, oh, I can do this, and I'm gonna spend like 3 days doing nothing but that. Unfortunately, the same thing applies to video games, where I've been playing this game called Oxygen Not Included. It's like a base management game. It's kind of like Factorio. And I realized that I just spent 3 days doing nothing but playing and thinking about this video game constantly. So as long as I can avoid doing it for video games, or I could start live streaming video games and I can monetize it and then it's work. So then that's fine. Maybe that's the loophole.
I would say, as a piece of advice that changed my outlook completely, a lot of like the self-help industry and like the kind of time management stuff, like the mainstream version of that is all slop. It's all like someone who like took one college psychology course, like regurgitated 10 points, made up a bunch of anecdotes. They're like 300 pages of random examples. And what changed the game for me is just reading like the source papers. It's the same thing as like just reading the C header files. It's like you just read like there's one paper that really, really was good for me, talks about how compulsivity and impulsivity exist on like a spectrum where it's not like one end, like you can have kind of both at the same time. And I think like just actually like going into the medical literature and looking at like, okay, what does ADHD symptom actually look like? What does autism actually look like? And it's like, there's this kind of gatekeepy attitude around like doctors, right? And like that profession, but it's really just all made up. Like it's not that hard to just read this stuff. And like when you don't know a word, you just look it up and it's like, it only takes like 15 extra minutes and the lens you get on the world is so much more accurate.
It's a bit scary though. Like, I think if you open up, because I agree with you in general, and I think people are very used to third-hand information that just gets like spoon-fed, and even with like AI writing summaries at this point in time, you know, it's like there's so much like baby bird regurgitate the food for me, like chew the food for me and regurgitate it, where the original meaning and the original value kind of gets lost along the way, and it's like you're just consuming trash content. I think we have too much of that. But I appreciate, though, that the way maybe that came about is people open up maybe like a 15-page long report by like some research institution, and it's full of like graphs and statistics, and it's a bit scary to dive into. So how have you had like a barrier to, like when you first open up one of these research papers and it's like, it's scary, like how do you break through that and actually just dig into it?
It really helps to like, I think the approach to it is really tough. Like if you want to start reading research papers, it's like very intimidating. You know, there's all these different journals with different amounts of reputability within there. There's all these different authors and they're all citing each other. It's kind of like trying to break into contributing to open source software in a way. But when you have like a mentor or a person who is experienced that you can ask, that like looks at you and is like, let's see, you're struggling with like, you think you have ADHD, but actually this is compulsive behavior. This paper would really help you. So that for one helps a ton. It's like immediately this is relevant to me. And for two, like I don't really read them in full. I skim them for the juicy parts. That's like a big, like if there's a graph, I'm like, I don't know. I don't really care. I don't understand it. Like I just need to know, like, I don't know. Before I had this kind of abstraction on top of ADHD and OCD, and now I just have a kind of clearer picture. I could go back in the future and like really dive into the details if I wanted to, but it's kind of an 80-20 thing, you know, like I'm gonna learn 80% of the Vim binds. I don't need to know, you know, the G command for like, or the V command for the inverse of the G command. Like who needs to know that? I do know that, but
I think that we should probably start to wind down this has been going for nearly 3 hours, and I'm going to have to edit this. So,
oh no,
sorry, I've given you a horrible job. Your life is going to be miserable for the next couple of days.
Having to edit a fun conversation that I enjoy. Oh. That's
What could be
Wait,
worse?
do you guys ever edit your own videos and you're like listening to yourself back and you're like, yeah, that's a good idea. That's a like, I kind of enjoy, like, it's like a conversation with myself. I don't
Dude,
know.
I just love hearing myself speak. I just love myself so much. I just can't wait to sit down and listen to myself again and again and again and again.
Is there any topic that you'd want to go into, Matt? Something that we haven't covered that you'd like to cover?
Really interesting question. One thing I want to know about you guys is like, what do you want to do? What do you want to do next? Like in your career, like like Christian, are you going to try and get like a programming job or like, and Sylvan, you mentioned you're going to go into like leadership. What's your like career next steps? Like where do you see yourself in 5 years? If you had to make a prediction like
This
that.
is an interview after all, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to go first, Christian?
Yeah, I can do. So I enjoy programming very much. I like this guy called T-Sodding. I'm not sure how you actually say his name, but what he does looks really interesting. I've applied to jobs here and there. I've done a few interviews, like just to kind of get a sense of how it works. I wouldn't mind it at all if what this ends up being is doing live streams on programming, or because programming isn't the only thing that I do that I enjoy. Obviously, I like philosophy as well and stuff. If this thing gets really big, I wouldn't be upset with that at all. So like if my career ends up being podcasting, talking about technology, talking about programming, having my own corner where I go deeper into topics, maybe doing live streams where I program live on the internet, I would very much like that, purely because I would love the freedom that I'm a freedom enjoyer, very much so. That's why I travel so much. So that would be it. Something like T-Sodding, but mixed with IRL streaming, talking about philosophy. That would be my answer.
Seems like you're already living the dream.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
Yeah.
if I look at your channel, that's like exactly kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, but the income would have to come from it, essentially. That would be the difference.
I get you.
All right, mine is like a little, I don't know, it's a little crazy. I'm also kind of like the Paul memes, the like prescience memes are like genuinely like I do have like insane visions. I've like seen some of this stuff coming from like a few months out.
It came to you in a dream, right?
It literally did. I'm not even kidding. Like, I'm not even doing this for the bit, and not like specific details of things, but like, I don't know. I had a vibe that this is how things were going to turn out for a while. And what I'm seeing next is, so in my Discord server, the Vestibule, I'm like, which will eventually maybe be moved off Discord. It's essentially like a social credit system based around like maximizing creativity, human connection, kindness. It's like, we use like a token economy, as it's called in behavior modification, to like incentivize project work. And what we do is we basically have like behavioral profile of someone. They have like kind of 3 levels, right? Like this is a kid who plays Roblox who's like really annoying, right? Is level 1. And then like level 2 is like, all right, you're decent enough, like you're working on things. And then level 3 is like, okay, this is a really like a fully grown adult. You're a mature person. And then we'll have like a few levels of ability for programming, and we're going to also do math and behavior, psychology, philosophy, all of those topics, because Discord is infinitely scriptable and structurable. So you can create like an arbitrary Skinner's box. And then ideally, so we have like hiring people at the end of the funnel. Like once you reach a certain level of skill, we just hand you right over to recruiters. And that acts as a backup reinforcer for the token economy. So people are really actually incentivized to work with us. And yeah, I'd also like to at some point like try to fix the open source software situation. And like, I mean, through I guess, I don't know. I'm starting a social credit. I don't know what it is. Like a university / yeah, it's a cult. Yeah, it's a cult. Yeah,
you're already there,
dude. We joked before about making like a human agent startup, but you are doing the human agents. You're producing the human agents. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, you said there's like an open source problem. What do you think is the open source problem at the moment?
I think it's too many people like contributing AI slop and like shipping too fast and not thinking about things. And that's leading to supply chain attacks from China, as I understand it. And it's like leading to a bunch of bad software. I haven't looked into this. Maybe someone is fixing it, but I think we just need more based human programmers actually doing stuff. Like,
Have you seen what Zig's, the programming language Zig, what they've said about AI commits? Have you heard about that? There was a lot of drama about this actually. They, as a project, have explicitly disallowed all AI assisted and generated contributions. Their reasoning for that is that people who are allowed to use AI will often do like drive-by commits, as you mentioned before, where they'll just like get the agent to go and crawl the issues on GitHub or something, and then vibe code a solution for that, and then submit the PR. But the issue is that that does not build a real contributor. That builds someone who's just looking to get like clout off of, oh, hey, I contributed to Zig. What they really want is someone who they can actually invest in to become a core maintainer later on down the line. So their reasoning for disallowing all AI-assisted contributions is like, we want to invest in somebody, so somebody has to invest in us. Like, they have to actually put in work, put in effort in order to join, which is very interesting because that led to this whole situation with Bun that got acquired by Anthropic. And they're like, well, we want to do AI-assisted commits, so we're going to get the agent to port it to Rust instead. It was a whole thing. But do you have an opinion? Like, do you think that's too extreme, like just disallowing all AI commits in general? Or do you think that's like a reasonable position to take?
I think that's a reasonable position to take. And another, like a lot of people I'm kind of working with on projects. Like one is this lower internet social media called Friendly. And they have the same policy. I think like in the future, we will see agents integrated in, but it'll be like, it should be kind of a social credit system again, where it's like, okay, you've committed 50 PRs that have all been banger features. Like, yeah, by all means, use agents, but you can't drive by commit.
Do you have an opinion on this stuff, Christian? Like,
I do. I saw the clip from the interview where he said that the creator of Zig said that they're no longer allowing AI contributions. I think that if I started a project and I put in the effort and the work, someone showing up and throwing some slop at me, I would not appreciate that very much. I would find that to be rather unpleasant. I understand.
Eat your slop. I'm serving it to you. You've got to eat it. Consume. Yes. Consume the slop.
And I have to consume it as well, which is crazy, right? Like, yeah. I do not blame them at all. I understand the logic. It's almost like, I don't know, getting a chatbot to text a girlfriend for you. It's a little bit like that. It's just so impersonal. It's so if your girlfriend gets upset at you for having ChatGPT text her, I wouldn't blame her one bit.
I'm pretty sure there was a South Park episode about that where that was the plot of the. It was such a funny episode.
I've seen it. It just came back to me. Yeah. It was a Stan, I think. Yeah.
And Wendy was all like, oh, he's finally replying to me. He's finally putting in effort.
It depends on what direction the technology itself goes. And I think that we're going to see this a lot more. I think that we're going to see a lot more projects start to reject AI contributions. We're already seeing companies scale back how much AI people are using because, and I think this is just my opinion. I have no evidence for this, but I have a suspicion that the cost of tokens will only go up from here, at least for a while. So, because obviously the cost was heavily subsidized until fairly recently, and that's when the actual cost showed up. But here's the thing: if I were in their position, I wouldn't remove the subsidy entirely. I would do it partially. So I have a suspicion that the tokens are still subsidized, just not to the degree that they were before. So
I can't confirm or deny.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm not asking for a take on that. This is purely my opinion. I think that's the case. And so what I think is going to happen is the tokens are going to get more expensive as they are less and less subsidized. As the agents get more complicated, they're going to use more tokens per prompt, which is already happening. We're already seeing token usage going up dramatically. And I just think that from a business perspective, because eventually it always comes back to cost. Eventually, managers and people who own companies, even if they're not, they don't have to be technical to realize that the magic code machine is getting increasingly more expensive. And people on my channel, they joke in the comments, they say that 2027 is going to be the year of the human programmer. Humans are going to replace AI in 2027. if it keeps getting more expensive, especially if there's some sort of trade war or literal war, especially if it's going to be somewhere in the Asia area and it's going to disrupt hardware, then the cost of this stuff is only going to go up. And ironically, I happen to really enjoy low-level stuff and how computers actually work. But if this happens, if there's some sort of dramatic increase in the cost of computation, we might once again return to a world where being cracked actually matters, where being able to squeeze as much performance out of the computer as you can will once again become a valuable skill set that someone can have.
I mean, look at RAM prices, right? Like, if nobody can
I just bought a computer, I know.
Yeah, dude, if no one can afford like 128 gigs of RAM so the Google Chrome can have 3 tabs, you're going to have to optimize. So
you can get 3 whole tabs. Oh my god! What field of Chrome are you using?
Dude, I'm using
the special powers.
Yeah. No, I'm using my like ultra cut down Linux distro so that the actual OS uses nothing, and then Google Chrome gets the rest.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
In conclusion, join Vimothe's cult. Become a human engineer.
Yeah.
A human agent.
Human agent. Yeah. We're entering the agentic era of human engineers.
Bro, we're gonna make humans, teach them stuff, and then they're gonna do things.
That's crazy. That's an absurd concept. You know, when you said before about like the magic code machine getting more and more expensive, to be fair, that's kind of what like before AI, like companies were viewing humans, like programmers, as magic code machines, and they were getting more and more expensive, you know? And then they got replaced by something because they got too expensive. So the magic code machine got too expensive, so we replaced it with another magic code machine, and now that magic code machine is getting too expensive. What are we going to replace it with?
Love it or hate it, capitalism always finds a way to repair itself. No matter what the problem is, the system, like somehow something more optimal gets put into place. Even if it seems bad for a minute, it kind of is self-righting.
That is a good feature of it in the sense that it has an actual like self-correcting mechanism. Like, bro, we can't just bleed money for 50 years. That's just not like, you have to make money at some point.
It's not a bug, it's a feature, bro.
Yes.
All right, we should probably wrap it before it gets super long.
Okay. Matt, do you have anything you would like to promote? Anything you'd like to
that's a good idea. We should do a segment at the end where we like randomly name drop people for no reason at all. No promo money.
Yeah, my buddy Kyle, my buddy Nick. They don't have YouTube, but you should check them out, trust me.
Okay, my sister Ginny, I'll mention my sister. There you go. She got a name drop.
My only friend, STM32, you should check him out. He's pretty cool. I talk to him all the time. We're mates. We're very close buddies.
I'll drop the Kagi search engine. I'm more corporate than you guys. I don't have a soul.
No, I should probably, dude, I'm definitely not paid to say this. Windows 11 is actually the best operating system. That's my genuine opinion, guys. That's my genuine. I'm just gonna plug Windows 11.
That deserves an applause. I like that so much.
You can trust me.
Oh, okay. Where can people find you on the internets?
They can find me on hoff._world. Had to put the underscore there because YouTube doesn't allow URLs or things that could be URLs, because world is actually a valid TLD. You can't have hoff.world because it's a URL. So I had to do hoff._world. So yeah, that's the YouTube channel. I actually have some big community news coming soon. I've been working really hard on community stuff being the word, things around the community, things for the community, but they're not ready yet. They're still in the oven. I'm at that like 95% project finished state. So big things coming soon for the community, but at the moment, just the YouTube stuff. Okay, man, it's been such a pleasure. I wish we could talk for like way longer, but I have to physically edit this.
Dude, that's the problem with autism. We're all
come on, guys.
We could literally go for 8 hours.
Yeah, I've got 10 more hours in me. What are we talking about?
I literally have to deliver work for a client in like 3 hours.
But do you really though? Do you just one more
Yeah, do
hour?
I
Just
really?
one more hour. Just one more hour.
Man, we actually have to bring you back on.
I
this
would
has
love
been
to. Yeah.
this has been fantastic. This has been so enjoyable.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you for watching. If you have autism, go to Matt's channel. I think you'll enjoy his content. It will soothe
If you made
your-
it to the end, you definitely have it.
If you made it through all of this, you definitely have it. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Thank you guys so much for having me.